Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking at a paradox that honestly probably exists right down the hall from you.
Oh, yeah, it's everywhere right now.
Right. You know when a company buys one of those ridiculously complex spaceship-looking espresso machines for the break room?
Yeah, the ones with, like, a million dials and levers.
Exactly. So management sends out this glowing company-wide email saying, enjoy the new perk, but then nobody actually touches it.
Because it just sits there collecting dust. I
Yes.
mean, everyone is secretly terrified of breaking it.
Hmm.
Or maybe just, spraying scalding milk all over their work clothes right in front of their boss.
Yeah, it's just too much of a risk for a cup of coffee.
Way too much.
But that intimidation factor is very real. Until one day, your desk neighbor, someone you actually trust, leans over and says, hey, let me show you exactly which 3 buttons to press to get a perfect latte.
Right, they demystify it.
Exactly. And suddenly, by the end of the week, half the floor is using the machine.
It's a perfect microcosm of human behavior in the workplace, really.
Mhm.
We don't want to look foolish, so we wait for someone like us to go first. We need that social proof before we change our routines.
And that exact dynamic is our mission today. We are unpacking a massive, incredibly expensive paradox in the modern workplace. We're using a really fascinating research article by Dr. Jonathan H. Westover, which is called The Power of Peer Networks in AI Adoption.
It's a great piece of research, really eye-opening.
It really is. I mean, listen to this staggering reality from a 2024 Gallup report. So, despite organizations spending literal billions on artificial intelligence and executives hyping it up in like every single all-hands meeting,
Constantly.
right, despite all that, 40% of U.S. employees never use AI at work. Never.
Wow.
And only 30% use it on a weekly basis. So we have uniform tech, we have uniform training, but the adoption is just completely fractured.
Yeah, and this completely challenges our most fundamental assumptions about how change happens in a corporate environment.
Yeah.
Well, the conventional wisdom, which is rooted in decades of, change management orthodoxy, it says that top-down leadership mandates drive change.
Right. The boss says, do it, so you do it.
Exactly. The C-suite sets the vision, they provide the tools, and the workforce just follows along. But when it comes to a novel, disruptive technology like AI, that top-down model it's completely missing the mark.
So they're just swinging and missing.
Totally. Because when people are facing something new and highly ambiguous, they don't look up to the C-suite for how to behave. They look sideways.
They look at their peers.
Yes, they look to the people doing the exact same job they are.
Okay, let's unpack this, because if the C-suite's multi-billion-dollar rollout is failing, we have to ask what the employees are actually doing instead.
Right.
And the research makes a critical distinction here between just, logging into an AI tool wants to mess around with the pancake recipe and what they call true adoption.
Yeah, true adoption is not just surface-level compliance.
No, it means you are regularly using it. You are actively integrating AI into your real decision-making. And this is key. You are actively sharing that knowledge with others.
That is the dividing line right there. It's the difference between just playing around and actual workflow integration. And the data on how we cross that line is striking.
Tell me about the Microsoft study.
Yeah, so Microsoft researchers investigated their own workforce, and they found that among their highest AI adopters, 88% said their local peers were highly influential in their decision to adopt the technology.
88%. I mean, that's almost all of them.
It really is. Now compare that to the lowest quartile of adopters.
Okay.
Only 50% of them felt that peer influence.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So what network analysis reveals here is a phenomenon called clustering. AI adoption doesn't just spread evenly across a company like, a company-wide memo being read by everyone at 9 a.m.
Right, it's not a blanket effect.
Not at all. It spreads much more like a contagious laugh at a dinner table. It happens in tight proximity.
That makes so much sense.
So you get these incredibly high adoption pockets right next to low adoption pockets, and they're existing simultaneously within the exact same department.
Okay, wait. If the peers are doing all the heavy lifting and the adoption is just happening organically in these little clusters, why do we even need the C-suite for this?
That's a fair question.
Like, are executives just wasting their breath sending out those company-wide mandates?
What's fascinating here is that leadership still plays a foundational role, but we really have to redefine what that role actually is. Leadership creates the necessary conditions.
Like paying for it.
Exactly. They provide the massive budget, they negotiate and secure the enterprise data licenses, they build the technical infrastructure so the data is actually secure.
Right, the stuff you literally can't do yourself.
Exactly. But formal training and executive mandates, they cannot answer the visceral human questions an employee has when they are just staring at a blinking cursor.
Yeah, they're wondering, like, does this actually work in my day-to-day context?
Right. Or will I look incompetent if I try this and completely fail?
Exactly. Peers who share your exact constraints are the only ones who can provide the social proof to answer those questions safely.
That's spot on.
It's like buying a gym membership because your boss told you it's mandatory versus going because your work bestie is already seeing results and they actually showed you how to use the weird machines without looking foolish.
There's a perfect analogy.
But let's look at the fallout of this clustering effect. Because if adoption is just happening in these isolated pockets, the harm isn't just that the company wasted money on unused software licenses, right?
Oh, the stakes are incredibly high, both macro and micro.
Break that down for us.
Well, from an organizational ROI perspective, researchers like Ross and Beath, they've shown that companies are typically only realizing 30 to 40% of the expected benefits from major tech investments.
So they're leaving 60% on the table.
Exactly. That missing 60%, that is the adoption gap.
Yeah. And the source material talks about something called process loss here, which, I mean, when you have a team where 3 people are heavily using AI and 2 people are still doing things the manual way, it doesn't just mean 2 people are slower.
No, it doesn't.
It actually creates chaos for the whole team.
Yeah, a researcher named Orlikowski calls this coordination overhead.
Coordination overhead.
Right. Think about the mechanism behind this friction. Imagine one person uses an AI tool to instantly generate a massive, highly complex data analysis in like 5 minutes.
Okay.
But their teammate, the one who is supposed to review and approve the data, they still use legacy manual method.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah, the AI user now has to spend 3 hours formatting their output and explaining the methodology just so the manual user can process it.
So the friction of collaborating across that technological divide just completely destroys the time saved by the AI in the first place.
Absolutely. When work processes become fragmented within a single team like that, decision-making diverges and productivity just completely stalls.
Wow. So the speed of the fastest person is literally bottlenecked by the technology of the slowest person.
Exactly.
And for that slowest person, I mean, here's where it gets really interesting. The psychological dread of being left behind is very real.
Oh, it's palpable.
The research points out that non-adopters suffer from reduced self-efficacy and intense work stress. They see their peers flying through tasks and they just feel themselves becoming obsolete.
It's a terrifying position to be in.
It really is. So think about your own team for a second. If you're an individual stuck in a low adoption pocket where no one around you is modeling this tech, how do you keep your skills from depreciating? The fear must be overwhelming.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this isn't just about some people working a little faster. It's about a fundamental, permanent shift in performance benchmarks.
What do you mean by that?
Well, the research by Otter and colleagues highlights the real threat of career obsolescence, and this is particularly true for mid-career professionals.
Right.
Their traditional skills, which took them decades to build and refine, they might depreciate rapidly if they're not augmented. Tasks that used to take you 4 hours now take minutes for your AI-enabled colleagues.
Oh, wow. So the actual baseline expectation for what a person can accomplish in a single workday is just resetting across the entire economy.
Exactly. If you are in a low adoption pocket, you are being judged against a standard you literally cannot manually meet.
That is, I mean, we desperately need a way to help those people catch up before they are penalized for it.
We do.
But the standard corporate answer to this is just universally terrible.
Oh, the worst.
Right. The HR department rolls out some generic AI 101 training module. You sit through a video that says, here is what a large language model is, and here is how to type a prompt.
And everyone tunes it out immediately.
Exactly. The research shows this generic training totally fails to transfer to daily practice.
It does. And adult learning theory tells us exactly why it fails.
Why is that?
The adult brain is problem-oriented. Training effectiveness only skyrockets when it is embedded in an authentic work context.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and the source provides a brilliant example from Unilever that gets right to the heart of this. They completely ditched the generic training entirely, and they created function-specific playbooks.
Meaning they stopped teaching people what AI is in general and started teaching them what it does for their specific desk.
Precisely. Marketing peers showed other marketing peers how to use AI for their specific consumer campaigns.
Okay.
Supply chain peers taught supply chain peers how to optimize complex global logistics.
Right. Yeah.
Think about the cognitive load of generic training. If I teach you the abstract principles of a chatbot, you have to spend immense mental energy figuring out how to apply that to your Monday morning supply chain crisis.
Yeah, that's a huge leap to make on your own.
It is.
Yeah.
That is called the translation burden. And Unilever completely removed that burden by having peers do the translating for each other.
I love that. It's like generic training is like reading a textbook on internal combustion, when what you really need is your neighbor to show you how to jumpstart your specific car.
That is exactly it.
But, to even get to the point where peers are sharing these specific use cases, you need an environment where people aren't terrified of making a mistake.
Yes, absolutely.
Amy Edmondson's research on psychological safety is heavily cited in Westover's paper here, because effective AI use actually requires trial and error.
Lots of error.
Yeah, you have to write bad prompts to get to good ones. If you are afraid of looking incompetent in front of your boss or your peers, you just won't try.
This is where leaders can be incredibly effective, not by mandating use, but by modeling vulnerability.
Interesting.
Yeah, Microsoft leaders recognize this fear, and they deliberately share their own failed prompts, along with the terrible, hallucinated outputs they received, just to normalize the fact that mistakes are a mandatory part of the process.
Wait. You're telling me Microsoft executives were deliberately posting their worst AI mistakes for the whole company to see?
They were.
Because if my CEO posts a terrible AI prompt that generates complete garbage, my first thought isn't, wow, what a productive failure. My first thought is, they have no idea what they're doing.
Right.
How does that not completely backfire and destroy their authority?
Well, it would destroy their authority if they were failing at their core competency, like financial strategy.
Sure.
But they frame this specific technology as a necessary exploration. They brand it as productive failure.
Productive failure. Okay.
Because AI requires iteration, showing the messy middle of the learning process actually lowers the perceived risk for everyone else. If the CEO can get a bizarre, hallucinated answer from the AI and just laugh about it, then a junior analyst feels safe getting a bad output too.
that takes the pressure off completely.
It really does. Furthermore, when leaders frame AI as augmentation rather than replacement, they remove the existential dread.
Which is huge right now.
Oh, massive. If I think learning this tool means I'm basically training my own robotic replacement,
Yeah.
I will sabotage the rollout.
Obviously.
But if I realize it just makes me superhuman at my current job, I will actively experiment.
Okay, so we establish the function-specific context, and we remove the fear of failure by having leadership look a little foolish on purpose.
Right.
Now we need the spark. We have to actively engineer this peer influence. You can't just cross your fingers and hope people chat about AI at the water cooler, right?
No, you really have to manufacture the social proof.
Yeah.
The research highlights Chevron for this.
What did Chevron do?
Early on, there was immense skepticism among their geologists about using AI for subsurface analysis.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, these are highly trained scientists relying on decades of traditional methods.
They're not just going to trust a chatbot.
Exactly. And the turning point was not some Silicon Valley consultant coming in to give a flashy presentation. The turning point was peer geologists presenting visible proof points.
Oh, wow.
They showed their colleagues exactly how AI identified drilling opportunities that their traditional manual methods had completely missed.
So what does this all mean? When the evidence comes from a trusted peer doing the exact same job, facing the exact same pressures, it shatters skepticism far faster than any external mandate ever could.
Yes. And companies are actually building formal, permanent structures for this now.
Yeah.
Salesforce built what they call trailblazer communities, and Pfizer created these AI excellence circles.
AI excellent circles, that sounds very official.
It is. They literally bring people together on company time just to troubleshoot and share prompts specific to their domains.
Right.
It's highly structured, organized, peer-to-peer learning.
That is brilliant. There's another example in the research that is fascinating because it tackles the danger of this tech. BP.
Oh, yes. BP's approach is vital.
They didn't just teach people how to use AI, they created AI assessment checklists to help employees critically evaluate the AI.
Right.
They trained them to spot biases and recognize when not to use it. And the paper calls this building distributed AI literacy.
Yes. Distributed literacy.
Just to ground that term for you listening, distributed literacy means we aren't just relying on the IT department to be the AI police for everyone, right? We are pushing the critical thinking down to the individual user.
And that is a crucial mechanism for a massive organization. You simply cannot rely on a centralized IT department to gatekeep every single AI query generated by thousands of employees.
No, it would be impossible.
You have to build critical evaluation skills into the network itself. Users who understand the severe limitations of a tool actually deploy it far more effectively than those who only understand its capabilities.
That is such a good point.
They know when to trust the machine, and they know when the stakes are too high, and they really need to verify the output manually.
But, none of this matters. Not the excellence circles, not the playbooks, not the assessment checklists, if the company secretly punishes people for trying.
The trap of misaligned incentives. This is where most corporate initiatives go to die.
Exactly. The research leans on Kerr's classic organizational theory here. People respond to the incentive structures they are actually given, not the ones the company claims to have.
Exactly.
If you reward traditional approaches, AI adoption stalls out.
It does.
So think about your own organization's incentive structure. Are companies accidentally penalizing their best early adopters? Like, if someone takes the time to learn AI and suddenly becomes 50% faster at their job, does their boss just reward them by piling on 50% more of the grueling manual work?
This raises an important question because that is the ultimate test of an organization's true commitment to change. We talk a lot about positive incentives, giving people innovation time, or adjusting performance metrics to recognize AI-enabled productivity.
Sure, bonuses, things like that.
Right. But removing negative incentives is actually the first and most critical step.
Walk us through what a negative incentive looks like in this context.
A classic negative incentive is punishing a short-term productivity dip. When an employee first starts integrating AI into their workflow, they will likely be slower.
Right, because they're learning it.
Exactly. They are navigating a steep learning curve, they're writing bad prompts, and they're having to verify outputs constantly.
Yeah.
If their manager penalizes them for missing a traditional weekly quota during that learning phase, that employee will immediately abandon the AI.
Oh, totally. They'll just go right back to the old way.
They will retreat to their old, manual, safe way of working just to protect their performance review. And the adoption dies right there.
Wow.
Organizations have to protect that learning phase. And you also have to reward the behaviors that lead to adoption, particularly peer teaching.
Right, rewarding the peers.
Yeah, if someone is an adoption multiplier in their network, meaning they are taking the time to show 5 other people how to use the tool, that time spent teaching needs to be officially reflected in their career advancement, not viewed as a distraction from their quote-unquote real job.
That makes total sense. It all comes back to the network. The formal rules just don't matter if the informal network doesn't support them.
Exactly.
So if we synthesize everything from Westover's research today, the era of the top-down mandate is dead, at least for integrating complex, ambiguous technology.
Agreed.
Generic training videos are a complete waste of time. The real engine of AI adoption is social proof.
Yeah.
It requires function-specific context. It requires creating the psychological safety to fail loudly and building structured peer networks where colleagues share their early wins and their prompt failures with each other.
For anyone listening to this, it is really worth taking a hard look at your own position within your organization's social network.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ask yourself, are you a network broker? Are you someone who has figured this out and can help spread that AI literacy to your peers?
Right.
Or are you sitting in an isolated low adoption pocket? Because if you are isolated, you need to actively seek out your own AI excellence circle.
Find those people.
Find those peers, even if they are in other departments, because your long-term career relevance depends on escaping that pocket.
Yeah, the baseline is shifting, and you just don't want to be caught doing it the hard way.
No, you don't.
But I want to leave you with a final, slightly provocative thought to mull over.
Oh, why?
We've spent this entire deep dive establishing that peer influence is incredibly powerful. Much more powerful than formal mandates for spreading the adoption of helpful AI tools.
Right.
It operates like a social contagion. But think about the dark side of that contagion.
Okay.
What happens if a highly charismatic, deeply trusted peer starts heavily relying on a deeply flawed, hallucinating AI model for critical work?
Oh, wow.
If social proof is strong enough to override leadership and formal rules, how does a corporate network go about unlearning a bad technological habit once it's already gone viral internally?
Right, is the immense risk of relying on social proof. When the wrong behavior becomes the norm, it is incredibly difficult to eradicate.
Because once your trusted desk neighbor shows everyone how to use that complex break room espresso machine, it's going to be really hard to convince the whole floor to stop drinking the coffee, even if you find out the milk has gone bad.
Great point.
Keep an eye on your networks. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.